and let me record this.
Recording in progress.
Okay. All right, Joe. Let me do the intro, and we'll get started. First of all, Joe, welcome. I'm lifting my beer. Do you have a drink?
I got Finlandia on the rocks with no rocks. There you go.
All right, there you go. So before we begin, let me say this. I haven't done this probably in about 2 years. I do video for a living. My company's Video Mojo, but then I created a channel on YouTube called Resilience Mojo, and it's because I met these business owners from all walks of life, and they've had these incredible stories of resilience. Everyone I've interviewed has been through something, but they're on the other side, and they had these great stories. The difference with you, Joe, is you're not on the other side. You're going through it right now. But when we met for breakfast a few weeks ago in New York, and you were talking about what you're going through, which is Parkinson's, I walked away from that breakfast inspired. I was like, man, I'm getting inspired by a guy who's going through some serious stuff. And I loved your attitude, and that's why I wanted to ask you to do this. Joe, it's at least 45 years.
Wow.
Right, yeah, because you met Lloyd, I think, on a Little League team. I think that's how you met my older brother.
Right.
Yeah.
High school.
Then,
High school. Man, high school, yes.
Oh, in high school. Okay, so I was either in junior high or because I'm 3 years younger than you guys. And back then, 3 years, that's two different lifetimes. Today, it's like we're the same age. Joe, do me a favor. First of all, welcome. Thank you very much for doing this. Two things. Let's start off this way. What's your age, and when did you get diagnosed with Parkinson's?
I just turned 64 Sunday, which is November 2nd. So,
Oh, hey, happy birthday. I didn't know that.
yeah, one more year to Medicare, right? That's something to look forward to, right?
I guess that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, and I was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2017. I remember I was working in the city, and I went to the doctor. I was alone. Now, every time I go to the doctor, I bring my wife with me, which is very important when you get a big diagnosis like that, right?
Yes.
I was all by myself, and and I expected. I'd gone to a neurologist beforehand, and she examined me. She said, "I'm going to send you to another neurologist." I went to the neurologist, and she says, "Okay, you've got Parkinson's." So what? Yeah, the good news is that you don't die from it; you die with it. So that's good news. You don't die from it; you die with it.
So what does that mean? What exactly does that mean?
What that means is that it doesn't kill you. So you don't hear people when you hear someone had Parkinson's, they died. Most likely the Parkinson's didn't kill them. And she said the best thing that we can do for you is we can take care of the symptoms of Parkinson's. And at the time, I wasn't having any. You think of Parkinson's, what's the first thing you think? Michael J. Fox, right?
Michael J. Fox, right?
I had no tremors whatsoever. I had no tremors. It was on the left side of my body, and mostly I had stiffness. I walked very slow and very stiff. I had people would come up to me and say, one guy comes up to me off the street, goes, "You had a stroke too?" I didn't have a stroke, but I said, yeah.
Wow.
But and I'm walking back to the office, and I go into the office, and I'm gonna call my wife up. I was very upset, because I didn't expect to hear that.
Yeah.
And then I said, then when you look it up, there's no test for it, there's no blood test. There's nothing, that just the symptoms. They go by the symptoms. And this woman, the neurologist, was a specialist. And that's all she sees is Parkinson's patients, right? So she put me on medication right away. She said, and the medication started working. I started feeling a lot better. When I was coming home from work that day, and I was like in the daze, because this is a major impact,
Yeah.
Well, I don't have tremors now, but maybe who knows? You do that what if, which is what if this happened? And then I called my boss up. She said, go home. I said, hang out a little bit to work. I'm crossing the street to go home, and a car had come around the corner. And Rob, I don't know what it was, but I felt something push me back, and almost like it really saved my life, because I was such a daze. And I really think that was a sign from the Lord telling me, Joe, I am with you now, and I'll be with you every step of the way through this. So don't worry about it. And thank God, I've had my faith, and my faith has kept me very, very strong throughout this whole circumstance. I put my hands in the Lord's hands, and I think He's been very good to me. And then, you say, well, what could be good about this? You'll never know. what the Lord's going to put on your plate. You don't get to choose your cross. You get to pick up and take the cross that He gives you and walk with Him with it, which is very important.
Yeah, hell yeah. Wow.
So the first thing you say to yourself is, why me, Lord? What did I do wrong? Why are you punishing me? And as I prayed on it and I thought about it, He goes, you're not punishing me. And, our Father is, thy will be done. Thy will be done. You say that all the time. How many times you say the Our Father? Right? You say it all the time, but you say, thy will be done. When I pray, God, please release me from this illness. And He says to me, I was praying and he said to me, can you do what I'm asking you to do?
No, wait, stop right there. You mean you felt that? You felt that He was saying that to you? Where did you come up with that?
When I pray for, I pray for courage and strength and peace and serenity and joy and things like that. And I also pray for, I guess answers to the, why do I have this? And there was a podcast that I was listening to for some reason, and she said that she had the circumstance, and God said to her, "Can you do what I'm asking you to do?" And I really resonated with me. And I'm saying maybe He's telling me that. Maybe and sometimes when you read the Bible, there's certain words that really stick to you, right? And that way I said, "Can you do?" And I said, "Well, yes, I can. I'm scared. I'm frightened." But He said, and then I heard Him say, "Well, I will be with you every step of the way." And the hardest part of this journey, Rob, is that sometimes you don't feel Him being there with you. You feel like you're alone, and the only time you feel like He's there with you is when you through other people. And meeting you was really inspirational for me too. So the love of God, the love of Jesus, it comes through us, through other people. You have to remember that. Sometimes an answer to a prayer is not just from, okay, I'll grant you what you wish is for. Sometimes you get granted what you need. And I've heard you say many times, I surrender, I trust you, Jesus, I trust you. What happens to me is those words get stuck in my head. They don't go to my heart. And then, it was St. Augustine that said, my heart is restless, Lord, until it rests in you. And that's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if it's not resting, if your heart is not where it should be, you got to give everything, not just your trust, not just your surrender. You got to give everything to the Lord. And that's not easy to do in this world that we live in. It's very difficult.
This is true. Joe, something else that you remember, you told me on that morning when you had breakfast, who knows how many doctors there are that deal with Parkinson's, right? You happen to be, I hate to use the word lucky in a situation like this because of what you're going through, but lucky in the sense that your doctor happens to be a doctor that was able to set you up with this new way of dealing with Parkinson's, with the probes going from, is it a battery pack, Joe? Explain what it is. I'm going to put it on the screen right now, but explain what it is.
What it's called is called deep brain stimulation, right? And the neurosurgeon, what he does, he drills a hole in your head, and you have to be awake for 4 hours. You have to be awake during the whole procedure, which is pretty scary if you think about it.
Absolutely.
4 hours where a guy's sticking his fingers in your head. That's pretty scary, right? So he drills a hole in your head, and then he puts this thing into your brain. Now, the only thing that feels pain is your skin. Once they're in your brain, you don't feel any pain whatsoever, right?
It's amazing.
And then as he's putting this capellini head, this is probably like a capellini, that's how probably thin it is. He knows exactly where he wants to put this in your brain. And then once it's there, he puts it on and he stimulates it. And I can actually feel it going right through my left side, my leg, my arm and everything. You can actually feel it. It's amazing. It's really, really amazing. Actually, this was in 2023. I had this done. So he put it on the right side of my brain because the right side controls the left side. So I have a hole over here, and the wires, you can actually feel the wires in my skull,
Wow.
And they take the wires and they go all underneath your skin, and they bring it to a battery pack. So this is the second procedure, right? The first procedure, they drill the hole, they put the wires in. I become the, what's it called? Man from, what was it called? Martian? What's his name? My Favorite Martian. I mean, that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the show. Yeah.
The antennas, right? Woo! And then the second operation is they knock you out. This one they knock you out. They open your chest up and they put a battery in your chest and they take the wire and they connect it to the battery.
Okay.
And then they have to turn the device on. They don't do that until they let everything heal. Then about another week, you go to the nurse practitioner, and then she turns you on. Now, what happened to me is, not Joe. Joe doesn't do anything easy. You know that, Rob, right?
Right. Right.
Well, after I had the hole drilled in my head and had a guy yelling at me for 4 hours, don't move. They lock your head into this thing with this brace, so you can't even move your head. There's like one spot you stare out on the floor. I had so many people praying for me for that surgery. I don't even know how many people were praying for me.
Yeah.
But there was, when I was in that surgery, I felt the presence. Something that was there. Like, I mean, there's no way you can keep your eyes up for 4 hours. I got to stick Capellini in your head, right? So I got through that through the grace of God. I even said to the surgeon, I said, you charge for angels when there's angels in the operating room? Maybe there's a medical code to charge for the angels, right? They give you this device, and then you go to the neurologist's office, and they turn it back on, right? Well, of course, Jojo gets the device put in his head, and he's bending over to pick up something, and I dislocated my left hip.
Wow.
I had hip surgery. My right knee, 2019, my right knee was replaced, total replacement, right?
Wow.
And then I replaced my left hip in 2020. This was all during COVID. 2020 was like a big COVID, right? I remember going to the hospital for surgery. This guy walking around like a hazmat mask. He's fogging these things. Holy crap, that was scary. Well, I don't know if you ever dislocated your hip, but it's very, 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 very painful, right? The ambulance comes to take me to the emergency room, and they give me, you want something this kind of fentanyl, right? I think it's called fentanyl, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That stuff is good, man. It's sweet juice, right? So they bring me there to the hospital, and they knock you out, right? With this, they just knock you out, but they pull your leg, and you can actually feel it. You don't feel any pain, and they put it back in place. Well, guess what? They dislocated again after that. I dislocated my hip twice.
And this has nothing to do. Does this have anything to do with the Parkinson's?
I don't think so. I think what happens is maybe when he put that device on, he turned it because this is on my left side,
Oh, yes. Okay.
Maybe it's like it shook the hip a little bit. Who knows what it did? So now I got to get 2 surgeries: brain, chest, and then I got to go to get my hip repaired in the hospital. For that was all during March of 2023 was unbelievable for me. So yeah, Georgia doesn't do anything easy. So I was doing really good. They turned the device on. I was doing very good. And then I had something very, very stressful happen to me in my life, and it really hurt me, affected me. And then my right side started going downhill. Don't forget
Explain
the
that.
left
Explain
side.
that. When we say downhill, what does that mean?
Stuttering. What was I? It was like my right side. I started to shuffle. My feet would shuffle. And the medication, he had me on medication. But he said to me, the only thing that's going to take care of this right side, guess what he said is going to take care of the right side?
What?
Surgery. You need to have DBS done on the other side of your brain now.
So the same thing you had done before. Joe, explain what the thing with the brain does. What was the reason for doing that, and what's the advantages of having that done?
Well, the neurologist that I had gone to, she does a lot of studies, right? And she said, the medication, after a while, the medication, you keep on taking more and more of it, and it doesn't work as much. Mostly it's dopamine.
Okay.
So I was taking more and more medication. She said to me, I'm going to put you on this dopamine pump study. And what it is, a dopamine pump is like an insulin pump. It pumps actual dopamine into your body.
And why is that? What's with the dopamine? I think of dopamine, I think of energy.
Parkinson's, the reason why you have Parkinson's is because you have a dopamine deficit. Your body is not making the dopamine that it needs to make. So you take the supplements every 4 hours to give you the dopamine. Because when your brain sends the signal to your legs to move, it's the dopamine that gets the legs moving, right?
That's what delivers, okay.
So the only thing they really give you is called cinnamate, but it's called dopamine, right? I call it carbidopa. and you take it every 4 hours. And what happens is when you take it, as soon as your body absorbs it, you're able to have no symptoms, right? You're normal. But as soon as your body goes down, they call it off and on. As soon as your body goes on off mode, you start feeling the symptoms again, right?
Okay.
So the dopamine pump did not. Dopamine pump made it worse. Plus, it was a placebo, so I don't even know what I had when I had the real study, right?
Right. Okay.
But I said that this pump is making me. It wasn't giving me tremors, but it was giving me depression, and it was giving me.
Really?
When I would get up, I would be very. I was shot. I couldn't function at all. Because don't forget, when you have a dopamine deficit, it causes a lot of mental problems too, depression.
That's right.
Yeah, so dopamine is very when you take antidepressants, most of them contain like a dopamine.
Got it. Okay.
So she said to me, "Well, the only other course of treatment now is to go to a neurosurgeon and see to do the DBS." I had no idea what DBS was, right? So I said, "Okay, let me try that." And that was the first time. So now I have another neurologist, and he says, "Well, you know what? The only thing that's going to help the other side. Sometimes when they do the surgery, they put it on both sides of your brain because they figure we're there now. But this guy only did it on one side.
Yeah.
So I went to another consult with a different surgeon, and he goes, "Yeah, we'll put it on the other side."
Wow.
That surgeon, he doesn't keep you up. He puts you to sleep. Then he wakes you up when the thing is in there, and then you get to move your body a little bit, and then he puts you back to sleep. Then you're all done. Okay?
Wow. Okay.
So the DBS, what it does is it doesn't help your brain produce dopamine. What it does, it helps your brain. There's a certain part of your brain that can control that you're walking and everything, all the
Yeah.
Parkinson symptoms. And what they do, I call it basal something. Basil is the stuff you put in your plants, right? But this
Yeah.
is called
Yeah.
basal. So what it does, it stimulates you all the time. It stimulates that part of your brain all the time. So when you go in there to get it set up, they put it on a certain rate, have a little phone and a little Bluetooth type of thing.
It is controlled by AI, right? Is this the one that's controlled by
Well,
AI?
yeah, what happened was the second one, they upgraded the software. So the
Unbelievable.
first one was always stimulation was always on. So it was like 2.8, 2.7, but it was always on constantly.
Yeah.
They upgraded the software. Metatronic upgraded the software in this device, and it's AI intelligence. What it does is it's constantly monitoring your brain activity. And when it notices that your brain needs it actually has a threshold that it raises it up and it lowers it. So I call myself AI Joe now because I have artificial intelligence in my brain. So
Now, how is this? Is this working? Is this working much better now that it's set with AI? Is this helping your situation much better?
well, it's
With
so new. It's so new now. The FDA just approved it in February 2025, right?
oh wow.
So when you go to a doctor, you don't get to see them that often because they're very busy.
Yeah.
But my neurologist, he said, "Listen, let me know." He does certain things with me, and what he does is, if I'm having a problem, he sees me right away. I go right in the office right in the morning. So I've had about maybe 4 or 5 settings so far, and now this last setting, what he does is he gives you the phone and he says, "Yeah, this is the setting. Yeah, this." But I have 3 other settings in there, 3 other thresholds and low. If you need to change it, you don't have to come here every time.
Oh
Now, some of
wow.
these devices are really you can do it from home.
It's
You
just
can do it from
amazing.
his office. Your
Wow.
Wi-Fi is connected to, but this one's not like that. You have to be there. Imagine that the guy's like programming you and he's in his office. The other amazing thing about this device is that not only does it stimulate the brain, but it measures it collects data from your brain too. So when you go to his office, he has like a special wand that he puts it on you, and it's like space age stuff, man. That's how amazing it is. So is it helping? Definitely, because there are certain parts of the day where I get up and I can walk normal, but there are certain parts of the day where I need my cane. I don't know why. Maybe it's like every 4 hours, but as I notice that my walking is getting better, it's improving.
Yeah.
And I am the DBS spokesperson because what I do is I go to a group meeting with other people that are thinking about getting the DBS surgery. And they ask me questions. Is anyone here? Take my phone number. You have any questions? Call me. And a few people have called me up, and I've helped them, and they've gotten through it. And that to me, when you say to yourself, "Why am I afflicted with this?" There's 2 things that I really really resonated with. One, I know you watched The Chosen, right?
Yes.
And there's an
Yes.
apostle in The Chosen that I don't know if it's true or not, but he has a disability. He can't really walk that well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what would happen to you if you were walking with Jesus, right? And you see him curing all these people. And he said, I'm an apostle, and I've given up my whole life for you. Come on, throw me some here, right?
That's right.
And little James looks at it. Little James looks at me. And he goes, James. He goes, you could do more for me, believing in me, with this illness than you can if I cured you. He said, your reward in heaven will be tremendous based upon what you're doing for me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he has me, right? That's why, So, after I spoke to you, when I met you for breakfast, he came to me and said, maybe, it's not so much about me anymore. Maybe more it's about giving back. Well, how can I give back to other people that have this affliction or disease? The worst thing is when you look at these people's faces, they have that look of despair in their eyes, and it hurts. It hurts when you see that,
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I go to these support group meetings, I say to them, I said, listen, I know what you're going through. I know what it feels like to have Parkinson's, and don't ever lose hope. Don't ever lose hope. There's always hope, and that it really helps a lot of people. You don't really. So maybe I said to myself, maybe this is a way to give it back too, right? Someone could
Absolutely,
be listening
Joe.
to this, and they could say, maybe I should call up Joe and see how I can go through that aDBS surgery.
Absolutely.
So it's my
Absolutely.
way of giving back to people. It's not so much about me anymore. Thy will be done. Well, then, Lord, if you're not going to cure me, if you're not going to heal me, I will do whatever you need me to do to get the word out to other people that will help them. And when I look them in the eye and I say, I've been there, I know what it's like, and I know what you're going through, they can relate to that. There's not very many people you can say that to.
That's true.
Yeah, but I know that there's a lot of people out there that are walking around broken, and it's a shame because we look at the exterior. We look at people's
Absolutely.
exterior. What's inside
Absolutely.
their heart? That's why Jesus wants your heart. He doesn't just want your exterior. He knows what's in your heart,
Yeah.
and he wants it 100%. So, I cry a lot. I pray a lot. I'm very prayerful. I do a lot of praying, but sometimes you have to change the way you pray. And here's another one. Here's another one. People call it God's winking at you, right? Going for the second surgery, and I'm in the room where they're going to cut my chest open and put the thing in. So the nurse is introduced. She goes, "That's Mary." Mary. I said, "That's my mother's name." I said, that is a good sign. That's a very
Yeah.
good sign. So I said, Mary, that's Jesus' mother's name too. I said to myself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So right before they knocked me out, I always say a prayer for everybody in the room. I said, God be with you all. God be with you. Then before they knocked me out, I heard a voice say to me, we're going to take very good care of you. I don't know who said that. It could have been Mary, but it could have been the real Mary too. So,
Right. Right.
so these are signs. I think, when we pray, we want answers, but God gives us a lot of signs that we don't even realize they're signs, right?
Absolutely. Don't you think, Joe, when the time comes when you meet him, he's like, Joe, remember this, remember seeing that? That was me. You know? These weird
Yes,
little things you thought coincidences were not coincidences,
my nephew's a priest, right? And I said to him, I said, you think we're going to go, when we go up to heaven, he's going to find out? He said, listen, because when you go to heaven, when you get rewarded, you're going to be so happy about being there. You're not even going to care what happens. So, but, I want to tell people that God doesn't punish anybody for anything. People think maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I did this.
No, no.
He doesn't punish you. When he first gave me this, diagnosis, I was devastated. I really was devastated. I really was destroyed. I was physically crying. But I said to myself, there's got to be something that's going to happen that's going to be good for this. It's going to come out good for this. So, and that's what I feel. I honestly feel that God is giving me this for some reason. That it's like you say, I don't know why, but there's got to be something in it. The bigger plan. There's a big plan for me, right?
Joe, what about you talking about faith? What about first of all, what did your wife do? What did your wife say when she found out, and how has she been dealing with this? And I know she's been helping you.
Oh yes. You know what? What happens is when you have an affliction like this, you don't know what's going to happen when you wake up in the morning. You don't know how you're going to be, right?
Yeah.
So every day, I don't know. When you live with somebody, I guess you don't see them deteriorate as quickly as you think they are deteriorating, right? But she She has to do a lot more than I can't cook anymore. There's certain things I won't do anymore because if I'm walking with a pot and I lose my balance, there goes all the food and everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's things that I can sleep, I can walk, but there's certain things that I can't do anymore that she has to do. I used to love going to Stu Leonard's, going shopping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just have no stamina. Very tired. I don't have the stamina for that. So it's been a lot on her. Been very difficult, but she's a strong person. So I thank her. I really appreciate her. And I said, listen, honey, I hope you know how much I appreciate you for what you're doing because it's hard for me, to have to, you don't know what the day's going to be like. I mean, I
Yeah.
still work. I still do try to go to work every day, and I don't know. It's sometimes you just have to take it one day at a time, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe, when I saw you at the diner in New York, and again, you brought a cane, but it was almost like you didn't need the cane that day. And I don't know what I expected, to be honest with you. I think I expected, I just expected, for lack of better words, I expected a lot worse. Where in reality, had you not told me, had I not known, I would have not known at all that you have any challenges at all. Yeah. So you don't get you just so going back to the actual symptoms. Your symptoms are not shakes. There's other symptoms of Parkinson's where, in your case, you may not be able to walk right as far as right stand up.
Balance. You lose your balance very easily. Yeah.
Balance. Okay.
No,
Okay.
there's a lot of things. A lot of things that can affect it. Just, people just think you have tremors.
Yeah.
I never. Thank God, I never had any tremors. So I mean, sometimes when I'm sitting down, I get like antsy, I get uncomfortable in my right leg. It doesn't
Yeah.
tremor. It just feels like ants. Just how you get that antsy feeling.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to sit down, but push through it. You push through it. So
Well, Joe, let me ask you this. Kind of help this. We'll kind of close this out. Someone may be watching this who just got diagnosed today with Parkinson's, and they may have found this video today. What advice would you give to them? Well, yeah, what advice would you give to them?
well, the first thing I would say to them, I would say you're not alone. You're never alone. I'm always here to help you, and I've been where you've been. I know what you're going through. I'd be more than happy to help you. Call me up. I'll talk you through it. I'll help you out. But you're not alone. There are people out there that are experiencing what you're experiencing, and there's help. The girl told me, she said, "Wow, you are so fortunate to have this time, to have Parkinson's at this time of your life, because there's so many artificial intelligence. There's so many things out there that can help you that weren't available only 5 years ago. You think about this, 2023, 2025, adaptive. So."
Yeah,
You know what? And I looked at it like that. I said, you know what? I mean, who knows if I'm going to get cured? I don't know. But there's certain parts of the day where I feel like I can walk, and those are the days I'm going to say, "Thank you, Jesus, for helping me through this. Thank you." And and the last time you asked me, "What are you grateful for, Joe?" And I looked at myself and I said, "Well, I say I woke up this morning. I mean, what am I grateful for?" But it's about finding joy in your life, and it's about finding peace and serenity. And those aren't things that are just they come and they stay. They come and they fade. You know.
yeah,
If this helps somebody out there, that's what I'm grateful for. That's going to be able to help someone that's suffering or whatever they want to call it, or cross that they're bearing. I think it was today's gospel reading that said, "Pick up your cross, follow me, follow me." Not run past me, run by me, follow me. So you think about these words, and they're very powerful words, right? I am the bread of life. So I mean that's why that Eucharist that we go to every Mass and we see the body and blood, the divine body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff.
absolutely powerful.
And the thing is, when you're there, right? How many times do you actually listen to the prayers too, right?
That's true.
And
This
I,
is
I try
true.
to focus so hard. That's the most important part of the Mass. I've actually studied different parts of the Mass, what happens.
Yeah,
And when he holds up that, and you meditate on that, you think about that, and what does that mean?
yeah,
And one time I was at church, right? And this is interesting. And someone said to me, when he raises up that host, You're supposed to say, you can say any prayer you want, but he said, say, my Lord and my God, I believe, help my unbelief, right? And I'm sitting in church and I'm saying that to myself, and I heard it out loud. I actually heard it out loud. I don't know if somebody else was praying it out loud, but I actually heard that. That's amazing, isn't it? That's truly amazing.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
happened to me twice at Mass. That happened to me twice. So,
So, Joe, you've talked a lot about your faith, and I know you've been faithful your entire life, been Catholic, went to church every week. But has this situation gotten you stronger in your faith, closer to God? Has that been a positive that's come out of this? I guess is the only way I could word it.
it's gotten me very, very close to my Lord, very, very close to the fact that, I just like things like that. When I hear his voice, when someone says something to me, I say, well, that's him talking to me. That's him answering my prayer. So, and I said that when this first happened to me, I said, I'm not going to distance myself. I'm not going to blame anybody for this. I'm not going to blame God. Why me? Why me? And I've gotten very, very close to him to this point. Even now, I say I don't feel his presence, but I know I know for a fact he's with me every step of the way. That little thing about when the guy's walking on the beach, you ever hear that footprints in the sand?
Yes.
That's powerful. That's very powerful. Well, why
Absolutely.
walk during the hardest times of my life? Was there only one set of footsteps? So what did God say? What did Jesus say to him? Remember what
He
he
said,
said?
that's when I was carrying you.
No,
Yeah,
that's
that's
when he
great.
carries us. And you know what? He's around us. God is good all the time, all the time. Everything. He's there. You just gotta look for it. You just gotta see him there and see him being around. And even when he's not there, he's in there inside of you coming out.
Yeah, he's always there. You mean even when you
He's
don't
always
feel
there.
like he's there, he's there. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Joe, go ahead.
that's why I let people know how much they care about me. I care about them. And I say to people, I don't say, I love you. I say, do you know how much I love you?
So when you say that to somebody, what do they say?
They look at me and say, Uncle Joey, it's my nephews and nieces, right? Oh yeah. No. At my daughter's wedding, I said to them, I said that, I said, well, we watched them take their vows, right? And I said that we're going to vow to love you regardless. And I said, there's only one thing I want you to ask you, right? And everyone, when I said something, they said, I do, I do, I do, right?
Yeah.
I said, Ian and Kristen, do you know how much I love you? And they said, I do. So it's not about just saying, they're just words that we say to people, but how do you know, you got to really hug them and kiss them and look at them and love them.
Yeah.
And there's not anyone in my life that doesn't know how much I love them now, especially you, right?
You're right. Absolutely.
So that's the most important thing. When I leave somebody, I want them to be happy. I want them to laugh, but I want to know how much I love them because the love of Christ radiates through me out to them.
Excellent.
That's most important than anything, I think, right?
Absolutely, Joe. Absolutely. Joe, you talked about the power of the rosary, or that you say the rosary twice a day. There's a story about a woman named Jordan Peterson's wife, not Jordan Peterson. She was diagnosed with, I forgot, I honestly can't think of the name of the disease, but she was diagnosed with something where she went all over the world, from what I understand, about her disease. So different doctors, and they basically gave her the same diagnosis, that there was no cure, and her time left was going to be about a year or even less. And I may be wrong about the time, but her diagnosis was not good. And then one night at the hospital, her friend came in, brought a rosary, and I don't know if Jordan Peterson's wife was Catholic or even she was Christian. I think she was Christian, but her friend brought in the rosary and said, "Let's pray the rosary every night." And she started doing that. And I don't know how long later, but Joe, absolute miracle. She was cured. And I'm going to put that link in this video as well, because people need to know, again, the power of faith, the power of prayer can overcome anything. And again, why did you get this, Joe? I don't know. Was it random? Is God taking this random thing? But you are such a great messenger to get the word out about hope and about some of the stuff you're going through and the way you look at it. Again, someone else may not be nearly as good as a messenger as you are.
Here's one other story I want to tell you quickly. My mother had Parkinson's, right?
Who?
And I never,
Your mom?
my mom, yeah, she was like 85, 90 years old when she got it, right?
Okay.
And she had very bad tremors in the one hand, right? And we went to go Florida. Me and my sister went to go visit her, right? And my sister says, "What are you going to tell her for? You're going to upset her, and don't tell her you have Parkinson's, right?" So my mother said to me, she says, "I hope none of my kids ever get this. This is terrible what I'm going through." So my sister said to her, "Ma, what would you do if one of your kids did have Parkinson's, right?" She said, "Well, I would pray for them when I go to heaven. I would pray for them every day." She didn't know I had it, but I know she's up there watching over me, praying for me. So that's very powerful too, isn't that? That's another sign from God.
Right. Absolutely right, Joe.
And I said, "What would you do, Ma, if you did somewhere?" I would be praying for them from heaven. So these things happen for a reason, right, Rob? I don't know what the reason is, but
yeah, absolutely. Well, Joe, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate you talking about this. I'm going to put some of the links of some of the stuff we talked about in the bottom of this email. But man, thank you so much, dude. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, we got to keep in touch. I mean, 45 years is a long time for us to finally have breakfast.
well, we got to get your brother in. That's going to be even harder.
That's right. That's true.
Tell him I don't want to. Tell him I don't want to wait to be watching him from above when I come in, right?
I'll let him know. I'll let him know.
We can take up one of those accounts where we can get money for them. What do they call it? What do they call them?
The GoFundMe.
We'll go fund Lloyd to New York City.
Joe, thank you very much, man, and God bless you, man. God bless you.
God bless you, my brother. I love you. You know how much I love you, right, Robbie?
I do. I absolutely do.
You're a good man, and bring that word out to other people. Just keep on spreading the love, spreading your word out to all those people out there. So thank you for taking the time to do this for me, and for those people that want to listen to this. You better call me up if you have Parkinson's. I'll be more than happy to help you, right?
Excellent, Joe. Excellent. Joe, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.